So, what happens when a skeptical engineer takes on sales and wins? Alan Versteeg turned his analytical mind into sales superpower using the law of cause and effect to crack the code on performance, leadership, and scalable growth. From licensing spin selling in Africa to training 2,000 sales managers across 45 countries, Alan's journey is anything but ordinary. In our recent episode of Profit with a Plan podcast, you'll discover how the sales engine every entrepreneur needs to scale beyond themselves, how to let go and empower others without sacrificing results, and why sales management, not just sales reps, drives lasting growth. So, if you're ready to build a team that sells without you in the room, and that's the key, this episode delivers real strategies with Alan's signature candor and clarity. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a system or business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, business growth strategist and profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale-ready assets, so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later. So join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. Today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. But before we dive in, I've got something special for you. If you're a business owner who's tired of overcomplicated, overpriced marketing strategies that just don't deliver, listen up. What if there was a simple and affordable way to market your business that actually works? The Profit Booster Marketing Hub is your all-in-one marketing system built specifically for busy entrepreneurs who want real results without hiring a full team or wrestling the tech. It's automated, intuitive, and it comes loaded with pre-designed templates, CRMs, social media tools, email, text automation, and much more. Everything you need to capture, nurture, and close those leads. So if you're ready for a low-cost, easy-to-use marketing system that gets the job done, visit profitbooster.biz and let's make your marketing more profitable. All right, let's jump into today's episode. Today's guest brings a unique and powerful perspective to the world of sales leadership. Alan Versteeg is an engineer turned sales management expert who first encountered the world of sales with a healthy dose of skepticism. But it wasn't long before he discovered how engineering principles of cause and effect could transform your sales results and turn teams into high-performing engines of growth. Alan went on to co-found Growth Matters, an organization that has trained over 2,000 sales managers in 45 countries across a wide range of industries. His work helps entrepreneurs and sales leaders scale sustainably by focusing on one lever that is often overlooked: the effective sales management. Welcome to the show, Alan. I'm so excited to have you on.
Nice to be here, Marcia.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you went from something that is so analytical and color inside the lines of engineering and then went into the flow and naturalness of sales management. I mean, did it really happen as easy as you made it sound?
No, it didn't happen easily at all. So, quick backstory. I grew up, well, my father was Dutch, so when you're Dutch, you have to be an engineer. So I thought I'd always be an engineer. Unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 12,
Mm.
but I grew up watching Knight Rider, Airwolf, and MacGyver. Some of your listeners might remember that.
MacGyver. How can
So,
you put things
yeah,
together to make something new?
there we go. So I thought I'd study electronic engineering, thinking that's what I'd become. And I studied that. I was very proud to have done well. And I was in engineering for about 2 or 3 years. And I read a book by John Mason called You're Born an Original, Don't Die a Copy. And somewhere in the book, there's something that said, if you passionately hate what you're doing for 2 weeks, stop. Because you don't live once, you die once. And I was like, wow, that kind of hit me hard. And I wasn't enjoying what I was doing as an engineer. So I left my job without any next prospects. And a friend of mine bumped into me and said, "Alan, you need to get into sales," which I thought, oh, maybe that's more of my vibe. Please, listeners, do not drop off the call now. I got fired from my first 4 sales jobs, but I was frustrated.
Wait, you
I
were
did everything
fired
they
from your
told me.
first 4 sales jobs, not
First
just
four
one,
sales
and you kept
jobs.
coming
Yeah.
back.
So I was frustrated because I did everything they told me to do. They said I needed to know my product. I had the ability to consume and retain information. So you get 99% for product knowledge tests. I was the world's best talking brochure, but I wasn't getting sales. Then they said, "No, Alan, you need to be more motivated." Man, I got so excited you could weld with me. And I became the world's most motivated talking brochure. I couldn't get sales. And I started to get very frustrated and despondent because as an engineer, I see the world in cause and effect. You
Mm,
can't be born a salesperson. There must be mechanisms. Now you can imagine my scenario. I've got my mom who was a widower. I've got 3 sisters, all very proud
mm.
of me as an engineer, and going, "Alan, what are you doing? You clearly are useless at this thing called sales." And I thought, now let me have a few more interviews. Now, if you've ever been fired from the same profession 4 times and you're still trying, um, but a sales manager saw something in me in an interview and he asked me a question. He said, "Alan, is sales a job or is it a profession?" Now,
Mm.
in interviews, we already sharp. We know the right answer. So I said, "It's a profession." He says, "How hard have you studied for this profession?" So I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Compared to how hard you studied for engineering, how hard have you studied for this profession?" So I didn't say anything. And he said, "I need to tell you something else. Sales is the most rewarding and highest paying hardworking job, but the world's worst paying lazy job. If you treat this as a profession, I will back you." So I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "Professionals always practicing. You need to start reading. You need to start studying. And then you'll
Mm.
see the value of selling." And through that process of reading and studying, I started to connect the cause and effect. I could see the patterns. I could see how much anecdotal advice was actually useless. And through that, became successful in sales and eventually realized the lever was sales managers as Glenn changed my life and started focusing specifically on the profession of sales management through Growth Matters. And yeah, I've been blessed to be focused on that profession since.
Wow, what an amazing story. See how one person can significantly change the path you're on by
Mhm.
asking a question that got you to pause and go, wait a minute, what do you mean? Right? And I think that we all, you know, I hate, I'm gonna say it. I hate sales. My best friend is in sales and she's like, oh, just do this. And I'm like, it's awfully uncomfortable for me. But when I think about the result and the helpfulness and I'm solving their problem and I'm just making a connection and I know a lot of stuff that could help you and it's still always this kind of like balance between, like you said, delivering product knowledge and benefits and features and connecting with the customer, which is really
Yeah,
all they want. They want
that's
you
all
to
they want.
solve
They
their
want to say,
problem.
yeah, that's it. And I want to double click on what you said there because I want to give you 2 different perspectives. The first perspective is selling won't help, but helping will sell. Right. So when we are
Wait,
focused
wait,
on the
repeat
value we
that.
can,
Repeat that again.
selling won't help, but helping will sell.
Thank
Right.
you.
So it's the orientation. Hollywood does a horrible job of portraying sales professionals. When you have a service oriented mindset, you win. The second component is conviction. If you
Mm,
believe with certainty that you have value to bring to the client, it is negligent not to learn the skills of persuading them of their value. And
mm,
often we don't see it that way. Oh, I'm not really a salesperson. It's not in my DNA. I wasn't born that way. I don't have the gift of the gab. There's no science that supports it. The difference between an extrovert and introvert in sales success is 0.01%. It's got
really?
nothing to do with personality. It's got to do with intentionality and character. When
Mm,
you have conviction that what you have to offer creates value for others and you have a service oriented mindset, selling is the byproduct of caring for other people.
oh, that's so nice. That makes it
Yeah, that's
sound
true.
really, really good, right? Instead of this icky, what
It's
can I
good.
do to get you into this green car today, Mr. Jones? Gosh.
Hold
Okay.
on.
So if I'm convicted and not convicted, but I have conviction. And I believe that my product is the perfect solution for that client. And I know so deep down inside that I can help them achieve what they want to achieve. Then it's not really selling, it's persuading them to see my side and what I can see, right?
100%. The line between manipulation and persuasion is intent.
Oh,
So I'm going to say
okay.
it. The Wolf of Wall Street is
I know
a
that's a
known
terrible one, isn't
movie.
it?
And it's a horrible way to portray salespeople. But this is the story of a true person who manipulated people out of their money. Now, obviously, I'm sure he's paid for his sins, so there's no judgment there. But the reality is that the psychology of persuasion and manipulation are identical. The only difference is intent. So when you sell with noble purpose, when you sell with intent to serve, when you sell with intent and conviction that you can bring value, understand that you're not manipulative, you're persuading. And it's okay. Creating a healthy living for yourself and impacting other people's lives does not have to be mutually exclusive. Now, imagine if Steve Jobs said, well, I don't know if the world really needs this. He was not a salesperson, he was someone with conviction.
Mm.
And when I started to learn that in psychology, that we will betray our conviction. You don't have to have methodology, body language, tonality. You don't have to worry about that. People will feel your intention. And when
Mm.
we're convicted and we realize that, we understand this. We are human beings selling, not human doings manipulating. And that's the shift that happens at a psychology level.
So does it change the language that you use when you're selling from your heart versus selling that green car? You know,
It changes everything. We are loyal to our identity. So here's the first thing. For anyone listening, I'm not a salesperson, I'm an entrepreneur. Let me explain something. If you are not convicted and passionate about what you have created, then you're never going to sell. But yet, most entrepreneurs can sell without sales training, without any reading. They can do it because guess what? They have a certainty of the problem they're solving for the world. But then there's a narrative that goes, yeah, but I am. And the minute you attach an identity, you go, what if they want it, they'll buy it? Well, no, that's not what you want. You want a conviction. So when you get that conviction, and this is the key thing, Marcia, we cannot hide our intentionality. The reason people teach body language and mirroring and all these neuro-linguistic programming are all because of these techniques. But guess what? You don't have to become a master. You need two things. I believe what I sell creates value, and I'm going to learn how to persuade you, not manipulate you, persuade you into understanding that.
okay. So I think we can all agree that the audience now listening has conviction in their product and their offer, right? They believe wholeheartedly that my solution can solve your problem. How do
Yep.
you persuade then? So without getting icky, I think that's the $1 million question is the persuasion um in a way that seems authentic and conversational because you know that line, right? That's oh,
Mm.
nobody wants to be people want to buy, they don't want to be sold, right? So how do we help them buy? What's that persuasion factor, I guess, that we have to do? Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com.
There's a nuance, and the nuance is we can be very passionate and very convicted about what we're doing and speak about the child we gave birth to and not speak about the solutions and problems it solves. And here's the irony of specific entrepreneurs. They see a problem in the world. They create a child to fix that problem. And then they forget the problem they were born or created the child to solve.
And then
Don't
they
talk
make their
about your
child
product.
really ugly.
Yes. And no one cares about your child. No one cares about what you gave birth to. They care about why you gave birth to it. And as
Mm.
long as simple pivot, as long as you focused on, I created this to solve the problems in the world, that's a component. There's one other fine line. Everyone says there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. And I disagree. The line is not fine, it is wide, it is clear, and its name is tact. The ability to persuade someone without damaging the relationship. And I'll say that there's a scene in a movie, it's called Glass Onions, Knives Out, with Kate Hudson and Daniel Craig. And there's a scene where she says, well, everybody knows me. I just speak the truth. And he goes, my young lady, speaking your mind and speaking the truth are not the same thing, right? And it's a lesson in tact. So the key thing I just said, entrepreneurs, fall in love with the problem your product, your child solves. When you make it, don't get proud of what you created. Get proud of the impact it can have in the world. You operate from that mindset with the intent to solve. The natural instinct will be to persuade and not manipulate. But you
Mm.
could get too passionate where it becomes arrogance. Well, mine's the best, and what you're buying is wrong, and you don't understand it. Well, you've lost the point. The point is to solve problems. Entrepreneurs are born to solve problems.
Okay, that makes it sound so simple in theory,
It's it's
but in
it's less
reality,
complicated than we make it. We make it
yeah.
complicated because we forget it's our language, it's our internal dialogue, it's our narrative, it's our perception of salespeople, it's the Hollywood, it's all of these narratives. I'll tell you, if you're listening as an entrepreneur, give yourself agency to create change in the world. Just
Mm.
give yourself permission. Stop thinking you're an imposter. Stop thinking you're some manipulative salesperson. Give yourself agency. I have permission to speak to the world about the value I can bring. Because yeah,
Mm.
I was held back by myself for 7 or 8 years. How can I, from South Africa, sign an international company like Adobe as my client? How dare I have the arrogance to do that? Well, it's not arrogance. There's a point where I gave myself agency to say, well, you understand the value you bring. Give yourself agency. You'll make a dent in the universe. You know your intent. And your body language, your methodology, your confidence, everything follows.
I love that. It really softens the whole idea of sales, right? Um, Going and making sure that you're handling objections and you're pre-thinking what the guy's going to say across from you, so you're not listening, and you're doing all these icky things that normally happens in an uncomfortable sales environment, at least talking from
Mm.
experience. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, in that uncomfortable sales experience environment. But when you do it the way you say, and you're coming from your heart, and you've got intent, and you created this baby that for a reason, right? And now you're talking about the reason this baby is there, not the features and benefits of this baby and how it's going to solve your
Correct.
problems, right? It gets all the ickiness away. I don't know why I have this
100%.
icky problem with sales. I mean, I can
No,
sell
no,
and have these
everyone
conversations,
does
but
have the icky. And the icky thing is the limitation for entrepreneurs because Hollywood does not do a phenomenal job of portraying sales professionals. There's probably two movies, The Pursuit of Happiness and Jerry Maguire, where you look
yes.
at what it looks like to be an ethical sales professional. We don't have many examples of that. And then because the profession is so numbers driven, so get something
Yeah.
done, you learn that experience, but it doesn't have to be that way. There's a wonderful book by Daniel Pink. I'd recommend it to any entrepreneur. It's called To Sell is Human.
Mm.
And it gives you a perspective that it's just human. You've created something. Don't deny the world what you've created because some icky experience, and that's fine. But Marcia, this is what it is for me. We know that selling is based on trust.
Yes.
And we know that trust is difficult to establish. But
Yes.
the quickest way to establish trust is authenticity.
Mm.
And the easiest way to be authentic is to trust your intention and sell with noble purpose. And
Mm.
then most of the noise and the BS and the complexity and and don't get me wrong, you can still fine tune your art. I still work on my profession every day because professionals practice. Doctors practice, lawyers practice, sales professionals practice. But I'm not trying to figure out what's the hack. I'm just trying to figure out what's the next way I can create more value for my customers.
Mm. What's the next move, right? What am I
Hmm.
asking you to do? It may not be buy my product today. It may be, hey, can we book a demo? Or hey, can we book next week's follow-up? Or, those kind of things. And I think in today's buyer's journey, right? I mean, we've gone from, having a shorter sales cycle and bringing people through a short conversation thinking they're going to throw their credit card at you, at the end of this first appointment, to I've got to go meet with them 8 times before they're going to throw their credit card at me. I mean, it, I think the world is changing, and I think that if we take a step back and know it's just a conversation and I'm solving a problem, I think we can shorten that cycle, right? As long as they have a
100%. No,
problem
no.
that's urgent enough for us to solve.
Yeah, I mean, I love in exactly what you're saying, but the quote I think about is Maya Angelou. People won't remember what you did, they'll remember, or what you said, they'll remember how you made them feel.
Mm,
And you can accelerate many things when you make people feel seen, feel heard, feel understood. I'll
yes.
give you a simple practical example. I don't believe in objection handling. I believe in objection prevention.
Objection, what?
Marcia, I've had a lot of people in your position who have really gotten to this point and there's level of hesitation. And that hesitation is completely valid because they're thinking this, this, and this. Now, you may not be thinking that, but let me tell you how I've helped those people overcome that hesitancy. Why don't you meet them where they're at instead of waiting? Because guess what? 90% of people won't vocalize that objection. They won't say to you, Ellen, I like what you're saying, but they'll go, okay, yeah, sure. Call me next week. Call me on Thursday. Just raise it. Just go, hey, if I was in your shoes listening to some guy from South Africa over a Logitech camera, why would I be spending global funds on you? Get that. So just meet them there. And it's just, and it's ironic. There's this new trend, Marcia, human to human selling. Do you think it was ever anything else? Do you think it was ever anything else?
Well, I think
All
we
it
tried to
is.
make it something else, right?
Yes, we try to make it a machine, not a
Yes, we
machine.
tried to we tried to manipulate instead of persuade, right?
Mm.
And I think we tried to force things by trying to be super creative, right? Instead of just saying what it is, and like you said, human to human.
Yeah, we try to turn it into a process when it's a behavior.
Interesting, interesting. This is an unusual, not an unusual, but it's an eye-opening kind of conversation to do this because selling is essential for business. You have to, if you're not selling, you have an expensive hobby. And in order to sell, you need to have people in front of
Okay,
you. So marketing is important. And then after the sale,
100%.
you have to deliver what you promise, right? So it's just this one long stream of things that is called business, whether you're, you know, selling a widget or a service, it's the same thing.
Mm.
But I think we try, like you said, to make it a process that it's not, rather than a human conversation of, hey, I see you've got this challenge that you're facing, and I have a solution for it. Um, how can I help?
Hold on. And I love that you're showing that because it's, if you're thinking about the value chain in a business, it's, you've got to have the core value story the same. So I see there's four lenses. Connect. So what do we do to get the market to understand the value we bring? Converse. What is the sales conversation we have to persuade? Convince. How do we show evidence that we can create that value? And then the one we miss is champion. How do I turn that person who's received the value from me into a raving fan so I can get that
Mm,
next layer? And then the champions become part of your connect because they're creating leads. And that then becomes part of your conversation, which becomes part of their convince. But if in a business you think that's not important, you've missed Peter Drucker's one of my favorite quotes from Peter Drucker. The only reason a business exists is to sell something.
yes.
The only
I
reason it
love all your
exists.
quotes. These are fantastic. It proves that you are a well-studied professional. because you're able to talk about the ones that were successful in it and the ideas and thoughts that they came out with that were very impactful. But exactly, if that's the one job to sell something, it doesn't matter what you're selling. So then why do we have such a problem with it?
The identity we have, the ickiness of what we've made the narrative, and we don't realize the limitation it creates on us. Because remember, we'll always be more loyal to our identity than our goals, and we'll always fall to our standards, not rise to our goals. And if you're an entrepreneur, it is essential you become a student of the psychology of persuasion, not the art of selling, the psychology of persuasion. And guess what? Manipulation is the same psychology, as I said. Difference
with
is
with bad
intent.
with bad intent.
Bad intent. It's all it is. It's literally it is the identical neurochemicals that fire in both instances. Problem is, we always run the headline stories of the person who got manipulated, the person who got robbed, the person who got duped. We don't tell the story about the sales professional who has changed their entire family tree because they landed 17 large multinational deals over their career that fundamentally changed the way the business does commerce, the world does commerce. And they're just sitting in the background, and we don't see them. But
Mm.
guess what? You don't need innovation, you don't need marketing, you don't need product, you don't need HR, you don't need consultants, you don't need anything unless you've sold something. If you sell it, then the machine
Then you need
starts for
all
you.
those things.
Then you need all those things. And as
Wow.
an organization we're at, where we're scaling from, a regional business to a global player up against big competitors with much more money than us, we've had to get very conscious of how do we set up the standards that allow for scale. And I'm going to say
Mm.
this to you entrepreneurs because this is where I'm at right now. You cannot scale yourself.
No.
You can only scale your standards. It comes
Yeah.
from a guy by the name of Dan Martell. Buy back your time. You've got to scale your standards. But realize without a sales engine, it not much matters. It's just the world's best kept secret.
I love that. So in looking at your sales team, right? Because you can't multiply yourself. There's only 24/7 and you need to sleep. Sleep is required unless you're limitless, but your sleep is required. So with that in mind though, when you're looking at salespeople, right? And to bring on to your team, I'm getting the feeling that the best salesperson is the one that can make that connection and have that conversation rather than being able to recite the book on how this product works, right?
Yeah, I'm going to give you two lenses, Nate. So you've hit the nail on the head. Two lenses, though. Research done by Philip Squire, and pretty much what it says is 90% of the reason customers don't buy is not your value, but your values,
Mm,
right? So we judge people. We don't say, oh, they were a bad closer, or they were a bad negotiator, or they were a bad communicator. We're going, they were self-serving, they were arrogant, we speak about the values. So values
mm,
matter. So that's the first part. But don't worry about your salespeople. And the way I say it is don't worry about the seeds, worry about the soil. Create a culture in your business where that
mm,
is the way you do sales around here. Hire an excellent sales manager who is focused on growing people, not growing sales.
mm.
And once you grow people who grow sales, scale is your biggest problem because then you've got to figure out how operations fits together and how this one works. And suddenly you got these huge deals and you've landed them. You're like, I've caught the bus. What do I do with it now? But let me tell you,
Exactly.
that's much better than not catching the bus.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is great. All right, Alan. We can go on for days on sales because it is the essential heartbeat of the business. Because if your heart is not beating, the body's not working, right? You can't it's number one. So, and I love the way that we've really had this discussion around making it the intention and coming from a place of goodness and the
Ethical
persuasion and the
practice.
way that you can do it to make it. And then everything else will be the problem afterwards, right? You know how to scale and grow and HR and operations and delivery and all that kind of stuff. But the sales is the heartbeat. So where can listeners find out more about you and Growth Matters?
The easiest way is on LinkedIn. It's where I share everything. I'm fortunate or unfortunate to have a very unique name. You're not going to find it anywhere else. So it's easy to find me there. If you type in my name, you're going to find me on LinkedIn. And that's pretty much where I share everything. Growth Matters is our core business. We focus on developing sales managers because we know that's the number one lever to drive change the perception and the perspective and the maturity of selling. So that's where we work out. But you're going to find me on LinkedIn and lots of one-liners, lots of opinions. And I'm passionate about the subject. And just to all the entrepreneurs, if you don't go look for me, let me tell you something. Go look in the mirror and realize you have created a child that solves a problem. Don't let that child not become an adult. You got to go tell the
Mm.
world about the problem you fix and give yourself agency to do that. Get rid of the ickiness. It doesn't have to be icky. You're creating value. You're denting the universe. Economies move because of entrepreneurs. So don't forget what you bring to the world.
Wow, well said. Well said and on point. Okay, it's amazing. Look at the mirror, right? You created something. How do you get it out there to change the world? We entrepreneurs are world changers. So don't let sales get in your way from changing the world. I think that's a good one. All right. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you found some valuable insights and actionable ideas that will help you make your business more profitable. I know that managing your sales and hiring a sales team, and more importantly, a sales manager that can develop those people skills, is going to naturally move the sales needle for you. So I think that's a great place. And go visit Alan on LinkedIn and his company. So. All right, if you're tired of overpriced marketing that's complicated and time-consuming, the Profit Booster Marketing Hub is your low-cost, easy-to-use alternative to expensive strategies, complete with automations, templates, and a personalized strategy. So go get details at profitbooster.biz. Don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss future shows. You can always find Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable strategies on next week's call. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Alan. This was great.
Thank you.